Here we are talking about coaching. My name is Yannick. I'm here with Sivash and Nikki as per usual. Hello, guys.
Nice.
Hi.
um, Not quite as per usual because Nikki, you're in Sri Lanka. We just tried to sort out the connection and sound issues. You're with us via audio, so that's good. Hopefully, good enough for our podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, you see an immaculate photography because Nikki's also a really skilled photographer. That's worth looking at. Right now, you're sweating, and you're in a mosquito net.
Pretty much, yeah. But great to be here.
Okay, well, hey, we have a question that's meaty, so let's get into it. The question is around AI. There's been a lot of chat around it. There have been some concerns for some time. It's like, ooh, will AI replace coaches? And then very quickly realized, oh, well, AI will never replace coaches. But then now there's been a recent research that an AI coach has already performed better than a human coaches on coaching weight loss. So I think it's worth talking about it, right? Because there was a fantastic quote I came across recently from, I forgot his name. He's the director of digital something at Stanford. It doesn't matter who he is, I think. What matters is what he said, because he said, well, look, lawyers, AI will never replace a lawyer, but a lawyer working with AI will replace lawyers who don't work with AI. And I can imagine a similar scenario for coaches, potentially. I think it's a little bit different because there's so much value placed on the human relationship. But also, you can extend the human relationship. AI placed within a human relationship can immensely benefit us, just as a piece of technology. I mean, imagine every coach will, use some form of technology, a booking system, Zoom, a telephone. Imagine where your coaching practice would be without having a telephone or a computer or a booking system. Automatic invoices make things easier. I mean, a lot of things are possible without, but some things it's really difficult to imagine how they're possible without, right? Where would your coaching practice be? So technology can enhance our coaching, and some technology is unthinkable not to have in our coaching anymore. So I wanted to create some space with that to kind of brainstorm, maybe not go into, oh my God, what are the dangers, but I wanted to think about it kind of positively and see how can it enhance our practice? In what ways might we partner with AI so that it benefits our clients or benefits us? I'll pause there.
It sounds really fascinating, I have to be honest. I've only recently kind of come across the thought of AI in coaching. So this is pretty new for me, but I'm really curious to hear what you guys are kind of have learned about it and are thinking so far. So yeah, I'll withhold judgment from now and wait to hear more from you.
I have a whole list of ideas. So Sivash, you go first.
Yeah, for me, I've been reading a lot about AI and seeing how people are using it. And actually read an article yesterday about this, and somebody shared that he paid $10,000 for a book coach, a coach that basically helped him write his book and then took him to a process. And he said, like, he can see, and this guy is quite a successful business owner, and he said he can see how he can just basically give the AI all the information, right? And the AI, can guide people step by step, because it was just a step by step process.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I think the interesting thing is, right, like I think what you just said earlier, I think is really important, right? It could potentially replace some people, right? But I think like it can really enhance what we do. Right? I can imagine, like, for example, if you are a book coach, or if you are even as a business coach, right, or helping someone lose weight. So in a lot of coaching situations, the AI can actually be a great assistant that can create more accountability, that can create more support, right? Because a lot of times, like, and again, it comes back also to the type of coaching that we do, right? And personally, I don't personally think that I think it's, again, like we can be surprised by what happens, right? We've seen how, how technology really has replaced whole industries already, right? But I personally don't think that really great coaches that are really dedicated to continuous development, and that they can be replaced, right? But yeah, I can really see how this can enhance the whole experience, how it can really help the coach, for example, with simple things, right? Like, I've been focused on this question a lot in the last 6 years. Like, how can I help my clients get more out of coaching, right? And I noticed that, sometimes it's little things like reminders the day before, reminders on the day, reminders of the sessions, and the reminders of the assignments, the homework that's agreed, right? Sometimes just check-ins. Surprised, like, how valuable, like, certain clients value, like, the check-ins, the Monday check-in or Friday check-in, that allows them to focus more on the work, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, these are some of the ideas that are popping into my mind, and then I can see, like, again, just really looking at what we're doing already as coaching, and just really thinking, like, how can I use it to make my work more effective, and how can I use it to benefit the client more, and the client's overall experience.
Yeah. And many coaches already use automated messages that have come from them, but have not really come from them. Like sending out some questions ahead of the consultations. Some clients say, "Oh yeah, I found these questions really, really helpful. They really helped me to kind of tune into the session." And I did not send them. I mean, I did send them. I put them in. I thought about the questions, but the computer scheduled them in. So sometimes I forget that these go out. And some people take the invitation to fill them in, and some people don't. But yes, I mean, just if you think about accountability, regular check-ins. One question I had is, well, I wouldn't want the AI to pretend that it's me. I could see how there's a lot of possibility for the AI to pretend very successfully to be me. For example, by sending out a prompt a week down the line, or on Mondays, as you say. If the AI might analyze what the goals are, what the design, what the strategy is, or what the action plan is, I could see that coaches might, maybe take notes, feed it, but maybe not even. Maybe the AI does that autonomously already, kind of adjust to the check-ins. But if you know that it's an AI checking in with you, is it the same kind of accountability? So I think having a human coach but working with an AI can be really powerful. Whether the AI then pretends that they are the coach to check in with like a simple prompt, I don't think that's concerning in any way. But I think I would want to make it very clear and transparent that I have an AI assistant. So I could see that, right? For example, occasionally, just the topic of strength assessment comes up, and like, it would be really useful for this person to just go and do a psychometric, come back, we'll discuss the results. I could hand that over to an AI coach, because any process that follows a methodology, any process that has a clear set of questions, like you said with the book coach. I know an ethical sales coach even wrote a whole app, sales flow coach, she called it, that takes you through a process of, working your pipeline in an ethical way. A really good system. But that can definitely be done by an AI to a certain point, right? I think it will not replace the human relationship and the curiosity and the empathy, even though the AI might seem curious and empathetic. If you know it's an AI, I'm not sure if it works as well as if it's a human being. If it successfully pretends to be a human being, maybe it could have very similar results. But like any process that follows a clear methodology can be done by an AI. But then what does the human being add to that relationship? And I think that's a really powerful way. If I find out that this is an AI, I think my accountability goes way back, because now it's a computer, it's not a human being. And for some reason, for me, that really matters.
Super interesting. I think I really agree with the points that have been made so far. I think, the idea of working with AI technology to kind of support the process sounds really appealing. Like, I don't want to take a cynical view along the lines of, is AI going to replace coaches? If so, I don't think that's any time in the near future anyway. I think the human kind of the contact with another human being element is really powerful. I think increasingly, as our lives are becoming more online, digitized, and we're dealing less and less with other humans in a way anyway. I think, to surrender, yet another kind of form of intimate human contact, such as coaching. I don't know if people are really kind of, will take to that. Well, I think the interesting thing in the book, Systemic Coaching, actually, Yannick, that you recommended to me, I think that's where I read about it recently and first thought about it. And I think his point is really interesting because he says, the important thing then for us as coaches now, anticipating this kind of possible change, is to kind of stay ahead of the curve and kind of look forward at the kind of things that are going to become relevant topics in coaching in the future, and kind of preempt those a little bit, because I think, I wonder if that's where kind of technology stops.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And here's the thing, right? I think that we can already see, like, if you Google right now, like, how to lose weight, you'll find some great YouTube videos, you find a lot of great articles. So in a way, like, information is already available. Now you could ask an AI, like, how do I lose 10 kg? And it will give you maybe like 5 strategies or step-by-step plan.
Yeah, they will have analyzed all the books already.
Yeah, exactly. And so it can be very useful for the right person, right? And again, like, people need coaching, because like the AI probably won't, well, we never know, but it's like, if we look at coaching, right, on the surface, yes, like, people sometimes need to know what actions to take. But then we, as coaches, we go deeper. We look at, what beliefs are in the way, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are really the obstacles? Because a lot of people already know what to do, but they're not doing it.
Yeah, that's
Right?
going to be much harder for the AI, right? What you said yesterday in the coaching lab as well, the day before, it's like, well, chess, right? AI can teach us the moves of chess, but it's going to be much harder to focus on the player and see what's in the way of concentrating, for example, or what's the story you tell yourself about chess or about success or about winning.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is dating. I think almost 10 years ago, the computer beat the best chess player in the world.
Yeah,
right? Maybe
Deep
more.
Blue, Kasparov.
Yeah. So computers have been, because with chess you have certain moves that you can, and they can optimize the strategy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's very much strategy. But for example, I think to this time, right, there's no computer yet that can beat the best poker player in the world. And I think coaching is very similar to that, because with poker, there are some, steps that are, they are optimized. Like, if you look at numbers and you look at the maths, right, based on the numbers, you can make moves, right?
Yeah.
Steps that you can take. But, right, and I used to be a professional poker player, right? But as a human being, I'm aware of people's emotions. I know that, this guy has been really impatient, and his behavior right now, like, he's not looking at the numbers. For example, he's acting according to emotions. I know that someone else, for example, has been having a really great day and he's starting to take more risks.
But isn't that just a matter of time? I mean, AI being already able to pick up on emotions and people's facial expressions, I reckon 10 years down the line, AI will be much better able to pick up on emotions than, the majority of people.
Well, that'll be interesting to see. And again, like, I think, we can't limit what AI is possible of doing, right? Mm-hmm. We can, I think the possibility is incredible. Right, and it can be used in so many great ways. But that's what I think one of the things is, and this is, I think, this is a great invitation for coaches to really go deeper, right? Yeah. This is, you have to step it up, right? You have to step it up. You can't just, just say, like, okay, well, I've done my coaching diploma and I'm good now. This is, and it's going deeper on the fundamental things that you mentioned, like the level of presence, the level of empathy is, like, really understanding how can I build those relationships deeper.
Oh yeah, and I think it will have a huge impact, just that you mentioned it, on coach training, because it's going to become kind of pointless to teach coaches a formulaic, process-driven way of working with the grow model, because like any AI will be able to work much better with the grow model than coaches just starting out and putting all those questions in line and like trying to internalize what the process is. Because an AI will be able to take you through a process. So I don't think we will need that anymore. And what we need to focus on, as you say, is the relationship element, right? The being present with someone element, the creating space for someone to think element, and it's going to take a while. And maybe, hopefully, I reckon it's never going to be quite that. But I do want to share some of. Recently, I had a group conversation with a couple of people, and we kind of brainstormed ways in which we could partner with AI. So I just kind of wanted to share that, put that out there, and I'd love to hear what you guys, maybe other people who are listening or watching this, think. So a couple of ways was just to kind of work at scale, right? If we have created a process, if we have a very clear niche, if we have figured out a certain set of questions that tend to work very often with a client, we could just kind of launch that program and get somebody through an AI process. And then potentially, that's going to be enough for maybe 20%, maybe 50%, maybe 70% of our clients. We could just give them the process. Some people read a book and it just works for them, right? Some people, you give them the blueprint and they build a successful business. I've seen it work with, for example, making LinkedIn work for coaches. I had a client, a supervisee, who was just following that process, being given the blueprint, following it, and it worked. Now fantastic LinkedIn presence, lots of clients coming in. So I think that can work. Not for everybody. There's other things in place, but you can scale with AI. Content production is an interesting one, right? The content that gets produced by AI gets better and better and better. So many coaches hate the marketing effort, but they have a lot of ideas to share. I mean, I'm really looking forward to a time when I can just record a conversation like this, and then an AI will create a quality article, picking up on the main points, summarizing it, so people can read through it in 2 minutes and not having to watch a half-hour conversation, right? Maybe with links directly to the point inside the conversation where we talked about it. That would be fantastic. It would save so much, and I would be able to put so much more valuable content out there. I mean, that's fantastic. Summaries, notes. There was a coach working for BetterUp who just dreads sitting after the session and uploading the notes from the session, right? So an AI could absolutely, and that already does, pick up on a summary of what happened, key points in the session. As a supervision tool, that could be cool. There was a company that reached out at the time. I didn't have the conversation. I was kind of busy with other things. But how I understood their service, it was you would feed the AI coaching conversation, and then it would analyze the video, highlighting significant moments, picking up on emotions in facial expressions, tonality, the energy in the room in terms of what was being said, analysis of keywords, right? Giving you a transcript, highlighting bits in the transcript. So I think it could be a fantastic tool for self-reflection, for learning, for supervision, to just kind of have a look at your sessions and see what works there. And maybe based on those kind of sessions, maybe an AI can learn your kind of coaching style and get better over time. If you coach for 10 years and you do, 10,000 hours, I think an AI learning from that will never be you, because you're always evolving. But it can offer a lot of the value that you give based on past situations. So I think that's really, really interesting. Just having an AI assistant to go back and forth, booking in appointments, sending out invoices, doing a bunch of the admin. I think that's a really cool way of partnering with an AI. What else? I've had, maybe an AI coach mentor. I could definitely see, because coach mentoring, like kind of ICF style coach mentoring, holding you accountable to the competencies. If you feed an AI enough coaching sessions of master coaches, or maybe analysis of coaching sessions where they really learn the ins and outs of the competencies, I think certainly at a lower level of accreditation, I think an AI coach could really help you point towards certain situations that either violate or celebrate certain competencies. So I could imagine that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll pause there.
Yeah, and I found a really there's a company, they're really, I think they have like 4,000 or 5,000 coaches working with them, and they basically connect coaches with corporate companies, with executives, and what they use, they talk about this on their websites, AI-based coach matching.
Is that Coach Hub?
Yeah, Coach Hub. Yeah, the only I love what it says there on the websites, like our AI-based algorithm matches our coaches with the requirements of your high potentials.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and it's matching people.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So again, like I think the possibility is incredible. Like you can literally, if you're, for example, if you have a new client and your client is a single mom, you can ask AI like, what are the 5 biggest challenges for single moms, and AI will give you a lot more than Google will give you.
Oh, yeah, but I think that's really risky, right? Because, I mean, maybe it's my existential phenomenological lens, but if somebody says I'm addicted, I don't want to claim I know what that means. If somebody says I'm a single mom, well, then that person in front of me might just be very different to all the other moms. I think it leads us to making a ton of assumptions, but it could also open up some doors, right? It's like when personality profilers, somebody says, oh, I'm INTP, and then the coach says, oh, does this or that kind of behavior or challenge resonate with you? And chances are they're going to say, oh my God, yes, you know me so well, right? So
yeah, I think it's of course being mindful of not just taking everything as like, okay, these are the facts, so this is exact, but I think it will allow you to do research and on a much faster pace, right? Mm-hmm. Because you can find out really like what is happening. You can find out, and they can collect the research. The next question could be, can you summarize this for me? Yeah. Right. And so again, I think it can create an incredible advantage. And actually, one thing that just came up for me, because personally, I'm always looking at like, how can I take our conversations, and not just, our conversations, the things that I'm learning, and how can I take it from theory to practice, right? And actually what I just wrote down is, after this session, I'm going to block out 2-3 hours in my calendar on a weekly basis to actually look at this. Right, because again, I think the world's going very fast, right? And this is, I think, I don't think we need to be scared, but I think if we want to use it in a way that really benefits us, benefits our clients, and benefits our business, right? We have to learn. We have to be, we have to be part of this process. Mm-hmm. And so again, my invitation is just to, and maybe, we can look at this together a little bit more, but there's already so much written on this, right? On how you can use it. You mentioned some really great things around, you can just research for articles, right? Mm-hmm. You can like, what are the best headlines? What are popular headlines in this? The great thing is that there's already so much out there. Yeah. Right? Yeah. It allows you to just condense it, right? Mm. And accelerate your learning.
You can ask the AI to condense it for you. I mean, if you have access to ChatGPT, I saw a recent post of Rebecca Rutschmann. I hope we're going to get her on the podcast soon. But she asked ChatGPT to coach her. And I recently learned that a really good prompt for ChatGPT is act as, and then you could say act as a weight loss coach or act as a, life coach, and then give them specific prompt. And so she asked the AI to coach her and said it was surprisingly decent, so really curious about that. And one thing that I came up for me as a kind of a future scenario. I mean, many of us ask clients to tell us their story, to give us some information about themselves. What are your values? What are your strengths? What's in the way? Challenges you're currently facing. I mean, they need to share that with us either by talking to us or by filling out a questionnaire, filling out a psychometric. If a client would have the option, and I'm not sure how many clients would take people up on that option, but in the future, I think it'll be much easier for people to kind of share their data. It's already a huge generational difference by how we give our data away. But imagine somebody could, as part of the onboarding process, click a button that gives an AI confidential access to all of their digital data, right? All the emails they've ever written, all their work interactions, all their video content, their social media, everything. Or maybe they can select what they have access to, and then give you an analysis of that person's character, profile, weaknesses, strengths, potential. I mean, so much could come out of this. The amount that an AI could analyze based on all the psychological profiling tools we have. I mean, they could just do all of them like instantly, maybe not all of them, but like a lot. So to get a report before you meet someone, and then working very hard to kind of bracket those assumptions, maybe meet someone first and then look at the report. But I mean, the possibility is incredible, and the ethical concerns that pop up when I'm starting to think about that are immense. But it's certainly quite exciting with the whole spectrum of what that word can mean.
Yeah, for sure. I've done a lot of different personality tests, and I did an Enneagram test, I think a year and a half ago, and it gave me 46-page report. And I often go back to that, and it's really valuable. And normally you pay someone, $500 minimum to do like an assessment to debrief the report.
Oh, yeah, and their debriefs are very structured, methodological. I know somebody who did the training, and they just go through the protocol of how to debrief someone on that. That's definitely going to be done by AIs.
Yeah. But I can see again, like if you have something like that as part of the onboarding process, or at some point that in the coaching, the AI can probably link things together. Things that will be helpful with that specific goal that someone has, or with the specific challenge that someone has.
And how much nicer it would be if a message on WhatsApp pops up and says, "Hey, I'm Sevash's AI assistant. My name is such and such. Really nice to meet you. I hear that you're starting. How are you feeling? Would it be okay if I ask you a couple of questions as part of the onboarding process?" Cool. Do you have some time? How much time do you have? And then it's a conversation, but you're filling out a questionnaire that is a boring psychometric. If you give somebody a questionnaire and they have to do, and they have to click, and then, the answers pop up on the screen, and, that's a lot less people would be excited about that than when you actually embed it in a conversation. The future is so cool. But we've been going on for a while. I'm sure we could talk about this for hours more. I wonder, maybe we put a pin in this at this point and just kind of let people process a little bit.
Yeah, definitely lots of food for thought. Really interesting.
Yeah, I think one last thing is that we can also really use it to fill the gaps in our knowledge as a coach. So, like, for example, recently, I think last year, it was my first client that has ADHD, and now I get 2 clients. And I'm like, okay, I'm like ordering a few books, and I'm like, wow, there's so much to learn here, right? How can I shorten that process? And I think that's another way we can learn, right? We can see like, hey, all of a sudden I'm in a situation that I'm not used to, or there's a gap in my knowledge. And of course, as a coach, you don't need to learn everything about your clients' lives, right? But again, like it can give you really an advantage. And, you want to learn about neuroscience of coaching. You want to learn about different ways of coaching. You want to learn about, psychodynamics, right? Whatever it is that you want to learn about, it can really allow you to learn faster and connect the dots. So I think we can look at it from different perspectives, right? Like, how can I become better as a coach? How can I save myself time as a coach? How can I help my clients get more out of coaching? How can I create more support for them? Because I've worked with clients that get so much out of sessions, and then sometimes what happens is where for example, where there's gaps in the work we did is for example, the level of check-ins, the level of accountability, right? And again, just based on, and this is where potentially a personality test could come in, right? Because people need different things. Some people need a lot of check-ins. Some people need, everyone is different, right? I've had a client before that says, like I listened to, everything was useful, but can you give me a summary, or can you give me a 10-step checklist? Right? Again, the AI can come in and do these things and help us with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow, the possibilities are so rich. I wonder what people out there are thinking. So, if you're listening to this, watching this, give us some of your thoughts, because we only started to scratch the surface of what's possible with this, and also probably just only scratch the surface of what's concerning. So, yeah, I remain curious, and let us know. Thank you for being with us today. I appreciate your commitment to learning and growing as a coach. Just a few things before you go. First of all, we're doing this for you, so if there's anything you'd like us to talk about, do send us a question. Secondly, we're not doing this for profit, so we rely on your support to help us reach as many coaches as we can. So if you can send this episode to a friend or tell a fellow coach about what we're doing here, maybe you can subscribe or leave us a review, or even support us on Patreon. That would be amazing. And lastly, you can find us across all major platforms. So whether you like to watch, or you like to listen, or you like to download episodes and listen to it in your car while you're driving through somewhere with no internet, you can do so too. And that's it from us. Thank you, and I hope to see you next time.